should I mean, it's not loud out there, but do you think we should close doors or leave them open?
It gets loud.
Okay. Yeah.
6:30.
Probably. 6:31.
We'll do the first one, then a couple more
All right.
things.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, good. I just found a few things I think some of these are still valid.
No parking?
Find a spot.
I know, same here, we're on the other side of the courthouse. Yep.
Don't you have a spot at the courthouse?
That's what's in it.
Yeah.
These are my spot.
Has come and gone. I'd like to open up this public meeting of the Woburn Conservation Commission. It is January the 11th, 2024. And first on the agenda for public hearings is William and Stephanie Monterosso. Locus is 22 Waverly Road, DP number 348-0859. And it's a request to amend the order of conditions.
Good evening, Commission members. I'm Rich Kirby from LEC Environmental Consultants, and with me tonight are William and Stephanie Monterosso, property owners and applicants for this request for amended order. If the Commission recalls, I think it was over the summertime, we had filed a notice of intent for an addition off the back of a single-family dwelling within the footprint of an existing deck and backyard area. And as they've gone through the process, it was discovered that the lot lines, there was a mix-up with the location of the lot lines as part of the land survey. And so as that has been corrected, we have some modifications to the project. I do have some 11 by 17s of the site plan, if that would be helpful for the commission members. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mike.
There you go.
So, I'm all set, John.
While John's passing those out, one of the things that the commission may notice, and if some of you
I guess.
were at the site, there's a privacy fence that encloses the backyard based on the lot lines that were thought to be true, and we're proposing an adjustment to that. Now, if you're standing in the backyard and you're looking at the privacy fence surrounding, the rear portion behind that is town-owned conservation land. To the right is a friendly neighbor who's going to let them keep the fence in place. To the left is a paper street. So the idea would be to relocate the rear portion of the fence forward. It's quite expensive to do. And then the land, the town-owned land that is behind the newly relocated fence will be allowed to go fallow. The Monterossos have an agreement with the abutter to the right, basically stating that the fence can remain in place until it needs to be replaced or repaired or something like that. It would then be relocated. And then similarly on the left-hand side where the fence goes into the paper street, the idea would be the fence would be allowed to remain in place until it needs to be replaced, at which point it would be replaced along the correct lot line. A couple of other changes. The proposed addition was to be supported on sonotube footings and columns. We're now proposing a slab foundation with a frost wall. The footprint of the addition is exactly the same. And then the last item was the planting plan. We had proposed 400 square feet of enhancement plantings within the backyard, within the rear left and right property corners, and because those corners have changed, we modified the planting plan to reflect the corrected lot lines. So there's no change to the number of plantings, no change to the area of restoration. It's simply shifting those areas. So that's really it. I'd be happy to answer any questions that the commission may have.
Yeah, I guess I'll start. I had two concerns. Seeing how we're not gonna do the posts, and we're gonna do, I guess, a cement slab. It's gonna require more material to be dug. Where is that gonna be stored? Is it gonna be carted away right away? So that would be a concern, because certainly I wouldn't want the material stored out back, so it can get past the fence and into the wetland.
Right.
So that was concern number one, and I understand the issue with the shed, but I don't understand why, while all the work is being done, why it wouldn't be a good time to move the shed when the work is being done.
Well, in answer to your first question, I know contractors don't like to move soil any more than they have to because it costs money every time they move it. There is a staging and stockpiling area shown, if you're looking at the plan, just to the left of the house. I imagine that the material would probably be trucked off-site as it's excavated in order to minimize the amount of stockpiling on the property. But if anything, sometimes they need a small stockpiling area while the trucks are going back and forth. It would be contained within that staging and stockpiling area. And we do have erosion controls on the plan. There's a limit of work line that sort of creates a U shape around the proposed addition. And so certainly no stockpiling of material would occur beyond that line. With respect to the shed, I'm not sure it could be moved, or if it's something that would have to be taken apart, and a new shed would have to go into the location.
Because clearly, about half of the shed is
Right.
off property.
Right, on the paper street.
Right.
They'd like to be able to maintain that where it is, just until the shed is no longer functional, if it needs to be replaced, or if similarly with the fence, when that needs to be replaced, that would be relocated inside the property line, and we're open to a special condition requiring that.
Well, the issue that I have is I don't know if we can approve a plan where there's a structure that's on somebody else's property.
Mm-hmm.
That's my concern. And like I said, about half the shed is not on their property, it's on, as you said, the paper street. And I don't know legally if we could approve a plan allowing the shed to stay on somebody else's property.
Well, we're certainly not proposing to construct a shed on someone
Right,
else's
I
property.
understand.
It's sort of just an existing condition that, I'm not sure what to say to that. I don't know how other commission members feel, but the idea, again, would just be to let it be until it needs to be replaced.
All right, I'll open it up to the rest of the commission. Anybody have any other concerns, same concerns?
I don't have a problem with it.
Just one quick question, Mr. Chairman. You mentioned that the location, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought here. The fence is on the right side where there's, sorry, I lost my train of thought here.
It's on the paper street.
Yeah, it's on the page, oh, I know, the neighbors are okay with it on that location, and they have a verbal approval? Do we have
Actually,
something in
they
writing?
do have a letter from the neighbors, and the neighbors are here tonight.
Okay, if
in
you have a letter,
support of the,
that
yeah.
could be submitted, that's what I was concerned about.
Okay.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
No, that's fine.
Get too many notes written here.
Mr. Chairman, I just would like to address the question on the stockpiling. The original order, condition number 78, actually addresses that. So the original plan did have the staging and stockpiling area shown. So I believe that that's covered under that condition. They're not asking to change that condition, so I would suggest that that be left as is. And the other question, if they were proposing to do work on property that wasn't theirs, I would agree with you that that would be problematic. But this is already in existence, and they have stated that they would be willing to move it when the fence needs to be replaced, or that or if they get a different shed or something like that. I think that's a reasonable
Okay,
um,
if everybody's okay
approach.
with that,
I'd be okay with that.
I did want to add, Teresa, is it possible to put it, or if they were to sell the property, we could make that
That,
upon sale?
I think the commission could do that, absolutely.
Mr. Chairman, I just had one other question. It looks like the back side of the fence is to be moved in to the property line. I think that may require work within the 25-foot no disturb, so I think.
Does it?
Technically, you're correct, as would the enhancement plantings that we propose. And I think there was something in the order,
Did we already do a waiver? I just want
I
to.
think we
I
did.
think we did.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure we're covered.
yeah, no,
I have
that's a
problem.
good catch.
If we did, it's fine.
Yeah, we did. Okay, great. Yep, thank you.
Anybody else have any questions?
No.
This is a public hearing. If there's anybody in the audience that would like to speak on the matter, if you would step forward, sign in. Seeing none, bring it back to the commission. Any last questions, comments? Hearing none, is it your wish that we close the public hearing?
Yes, please.
Move to close the public hearing?
Second?
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Terrific. We have before we move on, we have a draft of the amended order. Teresa was kind enough to highlight the changes in yellow, and anything that was deleted is also in yellow but lined out. So on the first page, you can see the changes. Again, on
Right,
page
so
12.
so the first page is just the document reference, so that changes the reference to the new plans that were submitted, the revised plans. And then the second page, findings, a finding number 8 is added, and that just explains that this is an amended order of conditions and what conditions are changed by the amendment. So essentially, it's the documents reference, this finding added, and then conditions with changes include those numbered 21, 40, 51, 52, and 88, and then what was condition 88 is now renumbered to 89. So that's in there just for anybody looking at it to figure out what the changes are.
Okay.
Change in condition 21 is just to change it from order of conditions to amended order of conditions. And then on page 15, item number 40, I'm suggesting that the language about the hand removal of dumped landscape debris be removed, since that has already taken place. And then additional language that's highlighted in yellow. So that essentially refers to the relocation of the existing fencing east of the property to the location within the rear property line. So east of the property is actually the back.
Right.
And then it also states that the existing encroaching shed and fencing to the north side of the property may be removed or relocated within the property line. So if the property owners decide that they do want to move that, I didn't want it to be like they have to come back and get separate approval. So it
Right.
allows them to do that. The next suggested change is on page 17, conditions 51 and 52. I'm suggested both of those be deleted. Those are the ones that are prior to seeking a building permit, and they've done that.
Okay.
And I think the last change
22.
is a new condition, which is condition 88 on page 22. And I can read that, and if the commission wants to modify it, that's fine. But it's drafted to say, the applicant may maintain the existing fence on the north side of the lot in good condition. Should any portion of this fencing fall, be removed and/or replaced, new and/or replacement fencing shall be located within the boundaries of the lot and be subject to compliance with the Woburn zoning ordinances. And then condition number 80, the old 88 is now renumbered as 89. That's what the draft is.
Did you want to add the shed?
Yeah, if we could add,
Somewhere?
if we could add the shed and, or upon sale.
Yes, so that would probably be under
Existing fence.
88.
And shed, to make it simple?
Yep.
So would that be a separate condition or as
No,
part
just,
of
I'm
88?
Looking at that first sentence, the applicant may maintain the existing fence and shed. And then,
Well, do you maintain a shed? I mean, maybe you do. I don't know.
well, not, well, he said if it falls in disrepair and they won't replace it,
Okay.
they'll move it.
So that's under 88, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, and then,
No, I was just, that was under number 88, the
So-
new 88.
right, so number 88 would then read, "The applicant may maintain the existing fence and shed on the north side of the lot in good condition." That's the first sentence.
Yep.
And then, should there be another sentence before the next one, or,
Any portion of this fence fall.
Should any portion of the fence or shed fall, would it be disrepair,
Yeah, I agree, yeah.
be removed and or replaced, or sale of property?
well, I think that if there's a sale of the property, then you would want it removed from, you would want the encroachment removed, but you don't necessarily, they wouldn't necessarily have to put up a new shed or a new fence if they don't want to.
Right.
So
Right, it would just have to be removed.
I think, just trying to think how to
Maybe
word
make a
it.
separate sentence then.
Yeah, I think maybe a separate sentence. Should the property be sold or transferred?
Okay, sold or transferred, that's good.
Then the option would be to either remove the shed completely or relocate it or replace it within
Right.
the, per the zoning requirements.
And I think just by doing that might just eliminate any problems in the future that we made. We've seen this happen before on some other properties
Yeah.
that came before us, that sales happen and these things weren't addressed, and now the new owners are kind of stuck with it,
Mm-hmm.
deal with, so,
Yeah, no, that's very reasonable. Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, so this is the sentence, please change it if need be. Should the property be sold or transferred, the shed and fencing shall be removed from the abutting property to the north of the lot. Is that good?
Yes.
Except you're requiring them to move the fencing. Are we requiring them to move the fencing if they do transfer the property?
To remove it from the north, from north of the lot. In other words, it could be on the lot, but just not,
Okay.
is
I
that,
thought we weren't having them move the fence until it fell apart.
no, this is if there's a transfer in ownership.
Okay, okay.
Do you want me to read it again, or
Nope,
you?
I got it.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think that works for me.
Perfect.
Teresa, all set?
Yes.
Okay. Can I get a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we issue the amended order of conditions as drafted and amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
All right, thank you, Teresa, and commission members. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
That's the over-under, 7:30.
Wow, I brought all this crap too.
Me neither.
That
That's
bond
my
bridge
guess.
is under.
Okay.
Celtics start at 7:30. Did you go off of that? I forgot that sidewalk. Did you go?
All right, moving on. Next on the agenda is James Giuliano, 43 Pool Street, LLC. Locus is 43 Pool Street. Notice of intent, DP number 348-855, residential 4-lot subdivision. And this has been continued from April 13th, 2023.
Sounds worse when you say it, Mr. Chairman. For the record, Attorney James Giuliano, on behalf of 43 Pool Street LLC. I just want to thank everybody on the commission for your patience on this one. We went through a few iterations of the plans. We finally are at the point where we are ready for a vote with the commission. We passed everything at the planning board level through a couple revisions. So we're here tonight to submit the final plan, which I submitted about a couple weeks ago to you. The plan, the scope, everything is exactly the same from when we first came in April. I will go over it again because it's been a while, but if you remember correctly, this is a 3-lot subdivision carved out of one piece of property located at 43 Pool Street. Work is pursuant to the Wetlands Protection Act only because we have resource area. We have an intermittent stream that is south of the existing property. We have two of the proposed properties, two of the proposed houses will be in the jurisdictional area. Everything else will be outside of the jurisdictional area. So the only thing that we've changed from the last plan that was required by the planning board and Tina Cassidy is we have to show an easement through 43 Pool Street for utilities. And we had to show a few other items as far as the tree easements, as you know, probably from subdivisions. It is required under the subdivision control laws that we create an easement area for trees that, tree plantings, which we added. But other than that, from what we submitted to the conservation back in April, everything is exactly the same. The scope of work is exactly the same. I just didn't want to come back and forth with a couple different plans and confuse the board a little bit more than it needed to be. So want to make sure we had the final version here, and this is what we are submitting. Again, the scope is exactly the same as it was before. It's just a few sort of administrative changes on the plans that we had to make. So certainly entertain any questions that the board or the commission may have at this time.
All right, yes.
I just have one question. I didn't see it, and if it's on the plans, forgive me, but the erosion controls, what do you propose? I just didn't see a detail.
Let me see here. We are proposing silt socks, so let me see. My eyes are terrible, so. So you're right, so the cross sections are on the last page, and I don't see any cross sections, so obviously we can submit a page, but we are going to be putting, obviously, if you have any proposed additions, but.
So if the commission were to put a condition about,
Yeah.
say, 12-inch biodegradable wattles
Absolutely.
or filter sock, that would be okay?
Very expected and not a problem at all.
Thank you.
All right, I'll open up to the commission. Any questions or comments?
Yes, Attorney. I just had a question
Sure.
about the infiltration systems.
Yep.
It's not shown on the plan how they're connected, or what the infiltration is, where it's coming from. Do you know what it is?
I do. So, and again, we didn't really show detail, but I can explain exactly where everything's going. So it is outside it will be collected on the street, on the cul-de-sac, which is outside of the jurisdictional area. But if you can see on page 4 of 6, it gives the best detail. But 4 of 6 has 2 shaded areas that denote the infiltration system. So we have a couple catch basins on the cul-de-sac. We'll collect and go into those respective infiltration systems that are outside of that jurisdictional area. Although not required under the stormwater management plan, we are proposing individual infiltration systems for roof runoff for those 2 houses. I think probably all 3 houses will end up having it, but the jurisdictional houses that are on lots 1 and 2 will also have it. Obviously it's not required under stormwater management, but you can put a condition, we will add infiltration for roof runoffs on those 2 properties as well.
So So you're saying that Lot 1 and 2 are going to have roof runoff, like infiltration on the lot?
I think lots 1, 2, and 3 that's outside the jurisdiction will end up having infiltration for roof runoff, correct?
Okay, so those, like on Lot 1 and 2, it's not shown as either, right?
Correct.
So we can
Correct.
add that as a condition that
Yep,
there shall be infiltration
absolutely.
runoff?
Yep, absolutely. No problem with that at all.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Counsel, just on the infiltration system, the first one, so are we talking still, it's the below grade, the concrete, the tank, and so it'll be,
So the infiltration system will be obviously, matched to, for the roof, that's ample size. Typically, as you guys know, we try to do it below slab, so that way everything's going below, not above, because, any risk of flooding to the basements, it just doesn't make sense. So I think in that area, we're going to be able to do that for both lots 1 and 2. So that's the intent.
Anybody else? Hearing none, this is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on the matter? Hearing none, I'll bring it back to the commission one last time. Any last comments or questions? Hearing none, is it your wish that we close the public hearing?
It is, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The ayes have it.
I want to thank everybody again for your patience. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
thank you.
Have a good night.
All right, next on the agenda, One Arrow Drive Realty LLC, locus is One Arrow Drive, notice of intent, DP number 348-858 for a building addition, and we have written requests to continue the public hearing to February 22nd, 2024.
So moved.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Terrific. Moving on, file requests. We have Montvale Land LLC, locus is Hill Street, the roadway, DP number 348-0813, for a partial certificate of compliance. Just a little history, seeing how we've got Montvale Land LLC 2 more times on the agenda. Jerry and I have been out there several times now, and as you go up the road to Pulte and Delaney, on the left-hand side, there's erosion that's taken place, and there's a big pond of water at the bottom, and it's all silted in. We've asked for making some corrections. Jerry and I were out there yesterday, and it looked like they had attempted to put a Band-Aid on it with 6-inch wattles, which really aren't doing anything. And I know that doesn't have anything to do with the roadway, but my feeling is that we also have a pond now where a wetland was supposed to be, and that doesn't look like that's gonna go away real soon. So my feeling is that we hold off and have the petitioner take care of some of these things. For the roadway, Jerry was out there again yesterday. The parking lot is still a mess. Unfortunately, all the snow had gone away, and the stakes that were holding the erosion controls are still on the ground. We were told that would be picked up, the trash would be picked up, and neither one of those have been done. So I'm only one person, but my recommendation is that we wait until these things get corrected. Any discussion?
I agree.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah, and I was, in addition to the trash that's out, you know, at the base of the wall, you know, with the mass transit parking lot is, there's also on the other side, near the bike path, there's a monument that's got and I'm not sure where it comes from, but it's a large, I think it's a large concrete monument that's got an R on it. I think it might be as part of the bike path, but it's down, it's been toppled over, so that should be resituated. It wasn't down, you know, when I don't think it was down the last time I was actually out there. So it could have been vandals, or it could have been people that were working out there. I don't know, but it should be, you know, resituated.
So this is not a public hearing, but I will entertain any comments.
Thank you. For the record, Laura Leach at VHB. I just, after hearing your comments, I just had a question. The trash at Hill Street, at our last meeting, you had made a comment on that, or maybe after your site walk, and we had the contractor responsible, sorry, this is Joe Allen.
Hi, Joe Allen with Legg McCall Properties.
Who was going to take care of that, but I was curious if at this last view, it looked better or equally as bad as when you were there?
It was, I thought it was equally as bad.
Okay,
I don't
so
know
they
if,
haven't done
they
it
could
yet.
have picked up some of the litter and the trash,
Yep.
but now that's come back, if they did. But
Okay.
also the stakes, you know, that were holding the erosion controls, they're all still there, so they weren't picked up as well.
At Hill Street,
Hill Street,
right?
yes, yep.
At the
Okay.
DOT parking lot.
Kind of whatever rung,
Yeah.
you know, that whole perimeter,
Okay.
you know, from the bike path all the way around. There's stakes out there.
There was, after your initial site walk, we asked about the trash in particular because there was a misunderstanding amongst us as far as who was taking care of that. And so we did identify the people who are taking care of it. They are on the hook to clean that up. So we will definitely follow up on that because I know that was an item from last time.
Can I, if I may, Mr. Chairman, can I just ask, do you know the frequency is, how they monitor that? Because I know it's a heavily trafficked area now, and I know there's a lot of parking and cars coming in and out, but I just didn't know what their schedule is as far as maintenance.
Yes, the trash pickup is a weekly pickup with our landscape contractor we have on board for
Once a week?
once a week.
Okay.
But one thing you mentioned that I wanted to ask about is you mentioned trash behind the wall, that's behind the new retaining wall, on the southeast side of the DOT lot. I don't think that they've gone into that to pick up any trash, but next time they're out there, I'm in regular contact with
Right.
our contractor there, so I can have them look beyond that wall.
So are they responsible for keeping that area clean as well?
Not that I know of,
Oh.
but
Our contractor?
yes.
So, when was the transfer to this, like, DOT was going to absorb maintenance or start doing maintenance?
The transfer of that lot back to DOT happened in August.
Okay.
We agreed to provide trash pickup for that area, for that entire parking lot.
Mm-hmm, right.
Forever?
I'm sorry?
Forever?
Yes.
You think weekly is enough?
We thought so. It doesn't seem like it.
And that's year-round, weekly?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Good.
Obviously, a snow event kind of limits
Yeah.
them, but the same crew does the plowing, so
Oh,
it's
okay.
through the same company.
At the last meeting also, and maybe I just imagined this, and if indeed I did, I apologize, but I thought we had mentioned maybe some trash barrels being put out that would entertain at least to some common people that that's where the trash should go instead of just on the ground.
Yes, I believe we spoke with that on site, actually. And that's somewhat of We're in conversation with DOT about adding trash barrels there. I don't think they're a big fan of it, but since we do have
Sometimes that is-
weekly pickup, it's on my list to investigate.
So just on that parking lot, a couple of thoughts came to mind. I know what some of the challenges are. We know that, the commuters there, they drop their things, they all meet each other, they make a mess and everything like that. You've got the McDonald's over there, and that wind blows, and then their dumpster
Right.
overflows, and then you get the McDonald's wrappers coming in there and everything. You've got that challenge. But on the matter of trash barrels, I think it's just been a tendency of, it used to be when you went into a store, or you went in to get a cup of coffee, you went in to get something, there used to be a trash barrel outside. You get out of your car, clean the trash, you throw in the trash barrel. When the pandemic come, all that went away, and
Yeah.
the trash barrels never came back. So that you even notice that now, if you're throwing in a place to get a cup of coffee, and you're getting out of your car, you've got no place to put your trash. So I think there's a reluctance, is my point. I think there's a reluctance for whatever reason, whether it's pandemic related, whether it's cost related, or something, to put trash barrels in there, but not having them doesn't give you any alternative, right? I think you need them.
Yeah, and I don't tend to disagree. Anecdotally, with or without trash barrels, I've never thrown trash on the ground, so
I know.
Same here.
You'd be surprised how many people do though.
Yeah.
It's-
Oh,
And there's a lot of McDonald's trash in that park.
And it's not just
Ketchup,
blowing
some of
over.
it.
People park there
They
and,
just empty out their car, it's
It's
disgraceful.
awful.
But I
So,
do think you have problems with barrels, because then people bring their trash.
that's true
Right,
too.
I think that's the
Crazy as it
reluctance
is,
from the
but,
DOT, yeah.
so you may not be happy with my suggestion, but I hope you do understand our concerns. So it would be my recommendation that we delay the partial COC until some of these items are addressed and corrected.
I agree.
We did withdraw the partial COC for the Vale,
Yep.
the main property. Just, I think that came out of the conversation that we had the last time. We initially thought that we needed the partial in order to even request a return of escrow. And then during that conversation, it came out that we don't actually have to do the partial. You're willing to consider the return of escrow without it. So we did rescind that request. As far as Hill Street, we are still requesting the partial to say that all the work is complete except for the wetland monitoring. That's the only thing that's remaining out there. That way, Leggett McCall can take that to DPW and sort of show them that all work is complete. So, just to clarify, our request too.
So, I'm sorry to interrupt, but why does DPW need to know that all the work is done except for the monitor? Like, why do they need to know anything, I guess?
Honestly, I don't know. I wasn't in those conversations. It was more of just presenting the documentation that all work is complete.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw in I think that your letter you submitted for the last meeting that you were concerned that the order was going to expire.
Yeah, and I think we talked about that at last meeting. We're just going to keep it open. So, we'll just continue to,
Right.
did you have other thoughts
No,
on it
that's-
now,
yeah.
or- Okay.
Right, okay.
Okay. Yeah, I think that was sort of a talking point from last meeting too. We'll just keep it open. So this summer we'll request another extension. The Hill Street order will remain open, but there's no work that's expected to occur out there.
Right.
It's complete.
Okay. I mean, I don't like issuing partials, but if you need it for a particular reason, I think it makes it more difficult for us to keep track of things. But if you need it for a particular, some other approvals, I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem myself issuing a partial, but I wouldn't do it today because of the trash that's, things need to be cleaned up out there. And I think that like the day prior to the meeting, somebody should have gone out there and made sure it was clean, so if we check it, that it is clean. I don't think that's really too much to ask.
No, I agree that we were here a month ago, and it should have been cleaned in that month. I completely agree, so we'll take care of it.
And again, I understand there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of traffic there, so even if they did go out there, they might want to review their scheduling. It may be
Yeah.
something they might want to do a little more frequent, because it just maybe just piling up.
Okay.
And again, I echo Commissioner Lona's statements. I don't have an issue if you need it for something else. I'd be fine with that, but if you can just show us a little good faith in the cleanup over there would be great. So maybe, I don't know if we want to put it over next meeting or 30 days or something.
Laura, just one more question again, just to clarify. I guess that area, not the parking lot, but the area, you know, behind the wall,
Yeah.
where the replication and the flood storage is.
Yeah.
Are you maintaining that, or is your client, or are the people that are maintaining the parking lot also maintaining that area as well? In
Yes.
perpetuity?
It's it's on the property, and it's
Okay. Okay,
part of the order. I
Right.
mean, it's part of your order
right,
to
okay.
maintain it.
Yeah, I just didn't know how things changed with, like, how much of that property does it say is the Vales, like, from the wall out, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, actually, Joe, maybe you can clarify. My understanding is that the only piece that's going back to DOT is the actual lot, the paved lot, and then the rest is still retained by you, or how does that work? Do you know?
I don't know once we're north of the bike trail or the walking trail there. I'm not positive on the layout of the parcels up there.
Okay.
So maybe before the next meeting,
Yeah,
we
that
can get
would
some
be-
clarification on that.
Yeah.
Be helpful, thank you.
Yeah, and just so I mean, it's my understanding that when we have an active order that says we need trash maintenance, that entire area is under that order and
Right.
needs, so.
And that's why I'm concerned with in perpetuity, you know, because after, you know, when the order is, you get a certificate of compliance, and then all of a sudden, nobody's cleaning that area, we get back to the situation we had, you know, whatever it was, 4 years ago.
Right,
When we
right.
first looked at it, it was, you know, horrendous. So if we can keep it maintained, that would be perfect.
Okay.
And so if you can clarify, like, who is going to be responsible for that area in perpetuity?
Yeah. Yep,
Yeah, where does it say it?
yeah.
It only says it in,
We'll have to-
yeah, I don't know, it may say it somewhere
Yeah.
yeah,
It's somewhere in the property agreement, so we will get that for you.
Okay, thank
Yeah. Yeah.
So moving on, I guess, what I'd like to have done is entertain a motion to delay, without giving it a specific date, to delay the issue of the partial COC.
so moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I have a question. I have a question on the motion or on the vote. So when we receive some additional information that was requested here tonight, would you like me to reschedule it on the next available agenda, or
If you receive material
at least
in
5 business days in advance of a meeting?
your timeframe, and it's on time, then we can put it on the next agenda.
Okay.
If it's not, and either Jerry, Steve, and I, or anybody else can get out there to confirm that the work has been done and the stakes are gone and the trash is cleaned up, we'll do that.
So would a week be enough advance for scheduling? I want to make sure I'm clear and that if I'm asked, I know the answer to
Yeah,
that
the
question.
other thing will be is whether we get any more snow between now and then. The stakes will be
Right.
hidden again. We just got lucky because we had all the rain and all the snow got washed out, and we could see what we saw originally. All right,
Can I ask one question? At the time that you're willing to discuss the partial COC or whatnot, at that time, you'd be willing to entertain the escrow?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Just want to make sure that I understand that both issues are
You said,
taken
what,
care of.
would we entertain escrow?
The return of the escrow.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, but I thought that
Yeah.
was the whole thing. I thought that was the answer to your question, why we're pressing for the partial.
No, yeah.
So-
It holds up the escrow.
It does, yeah.
To me, that was the procedure. It's important to you to get the partial so that you can take care of the escrow issue as well.
Well, that's what I initially thought.
Yeah.
But then during our past discussion, you said that they were independent and you didn't need that. So I just wanted to make sure that we still have the request for the escrow return on the table, and that would be something that you'd be entertaining at the time we talk about
Okay.
the other subjects. So.
Yeah, but I think that the chairman, when he began the talking about this, the request, in speaking about the issues with erosion that we have out there,
Yeah.
I mean, I think we're gonna, it would be nice to have escrow, for that particular issue. I mean, it's been going on for a long time. That, maybe shame on us for not going out and 3 or 4 months ago and making sure that as you're going up the roadway towards Delaney and Pulte, that on the left-hand side, that wasn't more stabilized. It should have been. I think people had their fingers crossed that, maybe stormwater wouldn't be, running down that hill. It's a pretty steep grade, and it's all washed out, and it's into the sediment like the sediment basin should be cleaned, but it can't be because it never completely. I mean, it would be a huge project, and it's spilling over into the Sweetwater Brook.
Yeah.
I
saw the pictures.
Yeah. So it's.
Yeah.
I think the chairman was kind of hinting that maybe we should keep some of that money for things like that. And I don't know if you want to make the argument that it's a separate issue. I mean, you can certainly entertain that, but I mean, when are things going to get fixed out there in terms of the erosion that's going on? Like Dwayne called it, a Band-Aid. It was definitely a Band-Aid. 6-inch wattles on that slope. They should have been staggered every 8 feet coming down the slope. And I don't know. And I didn't get a chance to see. I think Mark Costa had sent an email out this evening, or sometime today. I didn't get a chance to look at it, so maybe he had some solutions proposed.
The work is ongoing now. Actually, Joe, maybe you can speak to this more. But they are out there doing it this week. There were pictures that came out today from the filter fabric being placed.
Yes.
And I believe the check dams are being done tomorrow. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay.
From the previous monthly report that VHB created and the January 10th, which was yesterday, storm event, they had another report, 2-inch rain event report. And we had contractor out today, and they rebuilt with filter fabric, more rocks in that basin that leads to Sweetwater Brook. So that's the picture that you have from Mark today. And they began keeping the swaddles where they are, but also adding additional check dams in those locations. Those swaddles were meant to be a Band-Aid approach because we knew we couldn't get a contractor out there fast enough to do that. So those swaddles will remain. The check dams will be built in the same locations.
So there's been no check dams further upstream going up that slope?
Not until today.
Today they actually added some going up the roadway, kind of,
I know what you're saying, and I can't say for positive if they've been built today, but they were out today to do that, and they'll be out tomorrow to do that. Where they are in that process, I'm not 100%
Yeah,
sure.
okay, right. I mean, it's good that they're doing something,
Yeah.
but I think it was a couple of weeks at least ago that you were out there, and we spoke about maybe some things that could be done, like we mentioned possibly putting some sort of infiltration up top. I don't know if that was ever entertained or if it was possible, but do you know?
Up top, I do not think so.
Okay.
But leading up that hill, just to the west of the road, as you're going up the hill, that's where they're putting the
Yeah.
additional check dams now.
Okay, yeah. All right, thank you.
All right, moving on, we have Montvale Land LLC, Locust Hill Street, The Vale, DP number 348-0814, partial COC. This request has been withdrawn. Oh, moving on to business items. Montvale Land LLC, locus is Hill Street roadway, DP number 348-0813, partial bond escrow release, and I would suggest, again, delaying this for the reasons that I have already mentioned. If for some reason the plantings down below the wall, with all the standing water and whatever else, the plants don't get taken, it could be costly, and I would, and I'm jumping ahead of myself for the next item, it would be my also recommendation that we delay, especially what is now looks like it's gonna be a, pretty much a permanent pond where a wetland was supposed to be. It just isn't the way it was designed, and I don't know what, once the petitioners leave and are done, I don't know what kind of cost that could be to the city. So releasing any funds right now, I just think is a little premature. But that's, again, just one person's feelings and recommendations. So, for the roadway, any comments?
Yeah, I want to wait until,
Yeah.
I want to wait until at least that area is cleaned up. I think at the last meeting, I was good with the request for, the 100% on the excavation and, wetland soil. I thought 75% release on the wetland soils mix and plantings was too much to ask. I thought 50% would be okay. And then the monitoring, 25% I thought was okay, given that we have 3 more years, so it was a quarter of the time. But that's just what I thought. And I would want to hold off until, we issue a partial certificate of compliance. And I know that we had said before that that wasn't necessary, but given the fact that we're trying to get this area cleaned up and we've requested it done, and it really, for whatever reason, didn't get done. So I think hopefully this will ensure that it does get done.
Mr. Chairman, can I just make one comment on something that Commissioner Lonis mentioned, the pond, as well as yourself, the pond appears that it might remain a pond as opposed to the designed wetland. Now, when it comes down towards the end, when we have an as-built, which won't match the plans that we have because of that fact, is that going to create a bigger issue for the applicants? Obviously, it's something that needs to be looked at by you guys.
The commission has not, as of right now, the commission has not approved that change. So that was something that was discussed at our previous meeting, and one of the,
So that's right, it was discussed,
it was discussed
but not
and
approved.
not approved. So I think that my recollection is that we're going to wait and see how things kind of look and give it a little bit more time. But it's ultimately the commission would have to approve it if it's going to stay the way it is. And if not, then the commission could say, we want you to go back to the design. I think that one of the issues was, if I'm remembering correctly, originally, the original design was modified a little bit in the field because it wasn't I think it was too dry or something like that, and so some changes were made in the field. Now, whether or not maybe those changes shouldn't have been made and the weather conditions, I don't know if we were in a drought then or what. And now it seems like, well, some of the soils are clay-like, so now it's not infiltrating, so now you've got standing water. It may need some more kind of analysis, and I'm not sure that this is the right time of year to do that. That's my recollection. Laura, you can.
Yeah, no, I think that's accurate. I mean, I think all those things are true. We have soils that don't really infiltrate because they are underlined by gelatin. And then we had a really wet year last year as well. So the idea, at least from my perspective, is to see how it evolves this coming year, watch it, monitor it. If we have a drier year, it would be nice to see how that area looks. And I also think, we look at, we had this really great planting plan, as you know, for that area that was lovely, thousands of plants. We see what nature did. It's all, because we didn't, like I said, we didn't plant cattail, right?
Right.
It came in because it naturally is doing really well there. And so we have a situation where, we designed and nature did something different. And we can try to fight that. In my experience, nature usually wins. So we should consider that as we move forward into this year too. How much do you want to try to push on it? Can we push on it? All those things. But I think a year of monitoring is a really good step, or at least a growing season, to kind of see what happens in that area and how it develops.
That, to me, makes sense. My concern, I guess, is down the line when we get to the end and approving and certificate of compliances are issued and everything, is that if it doesn't change and it's looking like it's going to remain in the pond, as long as we're going to require some kind of, strong proof and evidence that will be equal to what we approved, at least equal to or better than what we approved originally, the wetlands, and I think we've discussed it a little bit, but that's my concern, is as long as that's on your focus down the line,
Yeah.
that it's gonna be looked at in that, towards that, getting some kind of good information for us to say, oh, well, okay, then we're happy with that.
Yep.
As well as, I believe,
Yep.
our, having it reviewed by peer review as well.
Yeah, potentially.
All right.
All right, so once again, what I would like to have done is entertain a motion to delay the partial release.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay,
Does that apply to A and B?
what's that?
Does that apply to A and B?
That's A.
Oh.
Next on the agenda is Monfield Land LLC, Hill Street, The Vale, DP number 348-0814, partial release for the bond and escrow, and again, same concerns and same recommendations.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we delay the partial, or the escrow release, or the requested escrow release, until, I'm going to say, May 2024. Is that what you were thinking, or?
I guess I didn't realize. I thought we were sort of saying once these measures were installed that you would consider it at that time, but do you want to wait a little longer to, is that what you're thinking? Sort of wait to see.
I'll retract my motion first. So just to iron this out, I'm thinking that they're separate issues, you know, the trash. This one,
Yeah.
I think we're waiting to see, I want to see a wetland. I don't want to see a pond. So I don't think that, like, you might have to excavate, you know, again, you may, as far as the plantings go, I don't know, there was very few that actually,
No, it's true.
so that's,
But we didn't, I mean, we can't prevent the deer from eating
Oh,
everything
well.
that we planted.
no,
I
I mean, there
mean-
is deer fencing, you know, that we can use.
Yeah, so, yeah, I mean, I think if you're thinking about, well, you know, you really want to see some woody vegetation in there. Maybe we could think about, again, this is just an idea, but maybe we could think about like a handful of trees, like 5 to 10, and then we just see how they do. Because I'm not convinced at this point that with the deer, that could easily, I mean, we can put up a snow fence, they could jump that. So I just don't know, you know, if, again, how much we want to push on what's naturally happening, right? So like, we can try, but I'd rather just sort of experiment and see how it does before we commit to, I mean, like McCall put in a lot of plants, right? A lot of money and a lot of thousands of plants. And, you know, they didn't take, right? So I don't want to do it again, right? You
No, I know, right.
Yeah.
But you know, something else I look at is, you've got this massive site out there that was totally, and I don't like the fact now that, it would have been nice to have done it, get the road in and done some of these things in phases. I mean, that's completely barren out there now.
I know.
We had this huge site, and we just asked for a little wetland in a tiny corner of it, and we can't get that, you know, so it's discouraging. It's really discouraging.
Do you think that there's not a wetland there right now? I mean, that is a wetland. That is a marsh.
Pond. It's a pond. It's not, is it functioning the way a wetland should function? You know, with obligate species, with facultative species.
That's what cattail is. It's an obligate.
Obligate. Everything out there is obligate.
Yeah.
And it's 90% cattail, pretty much.
It is. No, it is.
That
I
wasn't
don't-
what was proposed.
Right.
Understood. Understood. 100%.
It was beautiful.
And like I said, we didn't plant cattail. It came in naturally. So I think I mean, this is more of like an ecological discussion about competition, and you know, plants will outcompete one another, and certain plants do really well under certain conditions, and they will outcompete others. And when you have other factors involved, like deer browsing and whatnot, you get, you know, even more competition for what can survive. That's a natural ecological process. So, I go out there, I watch it, I observe, I monitor it. But I think you have a very nice marsh back there that you didn't have. I don't know how much marsh Woburn has, but probably not that much. And it's definitely serving an ecological function, for sure.
But there was a marsh there prior to, you know, we're talking about the replication area. There was a marsh, you know,
It was all
out there.
Phragmites, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but there's still a lot of Phragmites out there.
Yeah, and we treated all of it.
Yeah.
So that will eventually be less dominant.
Right. And again, that's another thing that we certainly want to keep an eye on.
Yep. And we're obligated to, you know, for 4 years, right? So that's something we'll continue to do as well, push back on the invasives.
So what do you think is a reasonable amount of time for us? I don't want to give anything away right now, or give
Okay.
anything up. What's a reasonable amount of time? 6 months? To see what happens, to see what, you know, what can be done.
So we can wait 6 months? We do a spring, the way we do monitoring is we always have a spring visit. We only do an annual report, but we always have a spring visit. So you get 2 visits a year. I don't think that, I mean, spring is early, right? So I would like to see it throughout the growing season. But there will be that evidence of sort of a check-in in the spring, right? At that point, we can talk again if that's appropriate. And then, yeah, I don't have a magic date in mind because I just feel like I'm on a wetland timeline. It's gonna evolve, and I don't know, how it's going to evolve.
I mean, if we,
So can I simplify this discussion a little
Yeah,
bit?
sorry, I'm going.
No, that's fine. No, it's just, this is not actually a public hearing, so it doesn't have to be continued to a date certain.
Right, just delay it
So
generally.
I think you could just decide at this point in time, we're not, the commission's not ready to release any of the escrow. But that you can make another request and see where we're at down the road and come back to the commission when you have more information or when conditions make sense to come back in. And then, when something is submitted, then we can put you on a future agenda and not try to figure out a date now. Because I think there's too many factors that you don't control and you don't know. So I think it might make sense to just say, the commission doesn't take action on this tonight, but they are open to having this discussion. So when you're ready to submit something, we'd be happy to have you come back.
That sounds good, yeah. And we may come, I guess, for Hill Street separately than the Vale and.
Yes, I think so, yes.
Okay. Sounds good.
so, Mr. Chairman, I'd move that we hold off on issuing a partial release of escrow.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Okay.
If
Thank
I,
you.
if I could just ask one more question.
Yeah.
The Vale property itself, noticed that there was a lot of rat kind of bait boxes out there around the fence. Is there a need for those? Are you obliged to have those out there?
I'm not sure of our obligation to have those there, but I do know that we have, that we do have pest control measures in place. What our obligations to keep that in place are, I'm not sure.
Okay.
I believe, and I am relatively new to the project, so this could be incorrect, but I believe that there was complaints from some neighboring parcels about, during the excavation process, which is common.
Right, okay. But you don't know whether they're being maintained or anything?
They are being maintained.
Okay.
But what I'm not sure of is our obligation to do that. It might just be in our own best interest to.
Okay. Yeah, there's a concern out there, and you've probably heard it about the rats taking the bait and going off, and eagles and other prey, eating them and then themselves dying. I don't, if there's not a need to have them out there, then they probably shouldn't be there.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I think.
I mean, yeah, if
Be
you
happy
could
to
look
take
into
that.
that and,
And I'll come with some more information from our pest control company about what's used, and they might have, I
Okay.
can get some more information on that.
yeah, thank you, appreciate that.
There's a lot of local groups really supporting and pushing to avoid that.
Right. Yeah. I feel like that was more of a construction thing anyways.
I think it was. I think it's, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys, thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda is Mark Doobie, request for permission to allow tree removal at 3 Mentis Circle. Steve, Jerry, and I went out, met with the homeowner. If you look at his submittal, there's many, many trees, and what we left him with was that he would get in touch with a tree company. The tree company would tag what trees were gonna be coming down, and with a different color tag, what trees were going to be trimmed, so we could have a definite number of trees being cut. and a definite number of trees being trimmed. As of now, I guess that hasn't been done yet. So I guess we'll just table the request until we get that information from you.
So I'll remove it from the agenda until we receive more information.
I'm sorry?
I'll remove it from the agenda until we receive more information.
Sounds good.
And Mr. Chairman, it's possible that because this isn't an immediate issue, I mean, it's not an imminent danger out there, because some of these trees are actually in the wetland, that it's possible, I think, that we could consider requiring an RDA for the removal. So it's something to think about.
Okay. All right, next on the agenda, City of Woburn, New Boston Street Bridge, DP number 348-827. That's going to remain as is.
Yes, they've withdrawn the request.
Right.
Yep.
Minutes for December 14th. I had a couple of things that I just wanted to bring out. On the first page, the very first sentence, Chairman Cleek suggested the commission take a site walk before acting. Acting on what? Before acting on the issuing of the partial certificate of compliance or bond release. I think that should just be a little bit more informative instead of just saying before acting.
I think maybe because, the request is for a partial certificate of compliance and bond release, that, that the commission take a site walk before acting on the release or the partial request, yeah. I think it's covered, but
I think it's actually okay, because the file request is for a partial certificate of compliance and bond release. So essentially, it would be before acting on either. Or on both.
It just left me empty. It just didn't sound right.
what would you like to add?
Yes.
If everybody's okay with it, I'm fine, but it just left me kind of on the edge, acting.
Would you like it to say acting on the request?
Yeah,
Okay.
that works.
Okay.
And then on page 2, second sentence, it says, it should be stated, not state.
Yeah, I saw that too.
And those were the only two catches I had. Any other discussion, any other changes?
I think there's a spelling error on page 1.
On page 1?
It says Brian Marahi. I think it should, is it Brian Murphy?
It's
No,
actually
it's-
Murray.
Is that correct?
It is correct,
Oh, okay.
yes.
That's come up a couple
That's
times.
all I saw.
Yep.
It doesn't look like it's does not look right.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we accept the meeting minutes of December 14th, 2023 as drafted and amended.
Second?
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great, we've got a couple of withdrawals of notice of intents. This doesn't happen too often, but we need a motion to accept the withdrawal of notice of intent, Washington Street, Lot A, DP number 348-0811.
And the motion should be without prejudice.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to accept the applicant's request to leave to withdraw without prejudice.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
One abstention?
Okay. And then, again, we have to accept the withdrawal of a notice of intent, Washington Street, Lot B, notice of intent 348-0812.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we accept the applicant's request to leave to withdraw without prejudice.
Second.
Okay. We've already done the order of conditions.
Was there a vote?
All in favor?
Is there a vote?
Oh,
Kevin seconded.
I second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention?
One abstention again for conflict of
Okay.
interest.
In one of the packets you got today, we have a letter. I think we should try to do a site walk at 5 Robinson Way before our next meeting. If everybody has read the letter, we all have been out there at one time or another. We know the issue, but I think we need to take a look again at the health of those trees, see if those trees should be left.
Mr. Chairman, if I might interject
Yep.
or interfere with your presentation here. I was out there today.
Okay.
I don't know if you know that I went out there today. And I met with Pam from Northeast Tree.
Are you talking about, I thought you were Hope Lane.
Did you, oh, I'm sorry.
That's
I
not
thought
what
you
you're
said
talking-
5 Hope Lane. Excuse me. Forgive me.
Oh.
Thank you.
So, our next meeting is the 25th? So something before the 25th.
This is a 3-day weekend.
This is a good weekend for me, but if I know people have plans, Wednesdays are usually afternoons are good for me. I'm usually around, most times. Doesn't happen.
I'm good anytime. Whatever.
I'm good except for Saturday morning.
And Jerry, do you have an as-built for that property? Do we have an as-built on file for that, Robinson? What was?
I have, yes, I have one from
John, you got any?
The one that was submitted?
2022.
The next
Oh,
meeting's the
okay.
25th. I
Okay,
cannot
so I do
the
have that,
Will that
yes.
work? Will that- I just wanted to make sure we know,
Yes, like,
again, what we're addressing.
What are you guys thinking of doing?
yes, so just for some clar,
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
yeah, that's okay. So it may or may not be a question, but the question that could come up is a request to seek permission to allow those trees to remain. And we have not been asked that. The commission has not been asked that as of yet. But if that request were to come in, I think it would be helpful for the commission to have done a site visit prior to the next meeting, so could discuss it. So that would be the purpose, is just strictly about the trees. All of the other material encroaching on the Conservation Commission property needs to be removed.
Would anyone be able to do it? Does anyone have, everybody have Monday off?
I don't,
Oh, you don't? Okay.
I'm good.
I can't
John
make
doesn't have
Monday.
it off.
Saturday, depending on how much rain we get, I might be at work due to the rain.
I don't know.
I mean, I can go.
You can get out, right? So if the rest of us can go Monday, that's okay?
That's fine with me.
Yeah.
I'll just try to get down there whenever I
All
get
right,
down there.
Monday,
I mean, I've been down there. I know what,
Right. Recently.
9:30, 10?
10?
What time?
10, okay, 10 a.m.?
10 a.m. on the
doing it Monday. I just want to
Monday?
write it down just
On
in
the
case.
15th.
Yep.
What time did she say? 10?
10 o'clock.
Thank you.
Okay.
Which one?
Does anybody else have any
Nat address,
issues to bring up?
Robertson?
Mr. Chairman?
Well, what was,
Robertson Way.
oh, okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Yes, so back to
Hope
what I interrupted you on, which was 5 Hope Lane,
I
which
hope Lane.
Steve, you and Commissioner Cleek went out there with myself to check on a couple of trees.
Yeah.
And we had said to the person that wanted to have them down that, we'd like to have someone come out from whatever tree company, and he said, actually, the gentleman said that he would have Northeast come out and take a look at the trees. So today they did that. They were out there, Pam from Northeast Tree was there. She really had no, one way or the other, she said that the trees aren't situated in the best location, they're not in the best shape, but I can't tell you that they're gonna fall down. But the homeowner is concerned that they're gonna fall down. So my recommendation would be that we discussed it out there as a possibility that we allow the removal of the trees, but leave, like an 8-foot snag. So leave them at 8 feet. They're not gonna fall and hurt anybody, and that, there's one of them, there's a potential, there's a black locust that has a potential to sucker out and, remain viable. The other one, potentially, the 8-foot stump of a fir tree could provide some habitat, for whatever woodpeckers eventually. So that would be my recommendation, that we allow the removal and leaving an 8-foot snag.
Everybody okay with that?
So before we talk about whether we're okay, if we could interrupt for just a second, because I guess I just did. I think the gentleman has a legit claim here, because an important bit of information is, a tree did fall down, it did just miss his house. In fact, it came out so much, there's no roots. He said there used to be a tree there, and I'm looking, it's flat ground, and it looks like it's been flat ground for 50 years. So the tree must have done a Wizard of Oz thing and come in the year and went out. But he's got a real problem there, it is compromised, and I think I agree with Jerry, based on that, we should do something here as a compromise. So I agree with you.
Sounds good.
Everybody okay?
I'm good with that, and I like the
Jerry,
idea.
would you call him and let him know that he can take those 2 down, but he has to leave an 8-foot?
I will let him know, yes.
Okay, awesome.
Do we want to send him a letter, Teresa, as well, or?
Maybe you could reach out to Northeast Tree, and let them know.
I will let both of them know.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
That would be helpful.
Anybody else?
Usually getting back to it.
Yeah, that's good. I do too, but.
Hearing none?
I was gonna say.
Hearing none, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you all.
Thank you.